I think it's just a matter of time before digital audio processing can finally outperform analog. I mean, it outperforms analog already on a lot of different aspects, but when it comes to things like saturation and distortion, we're not there yet. And that is why products like this exist. I mean, it's a bit strange that people are still craving for a technology that was invented more than a century ago. Freqtube created a modern and easy to use box around that tube technology. Because that is what the FT1 actually is. This thing houses two different sets of tubes, an AD and DA converter and a controller. This thing also comes with a plugin that makes it very easy to insert a set of tubes in your audio. It takes away all the headaches of routing, patching and that kind of stuff. So you can basically insert the tubes in this unit as a plugin, as you're used to. Why? Why not just use a plugin? So there is one thing that plugins struggle with. There could actually be more things, but this is the thing that I know about. And that is basically like, let's say that this is our frequency spectrum. This is 20 Hertz and this is 24 kilohertz. So we're running at a 48 kilohertz sample rate and this is Nyquist, as we call that. Now what would normally happen with saturation, like tube saturation, is that, let's say we have a tone, sine wave over here, then the plugin will create some harmonics, which will look like this, like they will go down and down and down and down. And these harmonics are the warmth, and depending on the tube and depending on the processing, the difference between these is different. But these tones are harmonically connected to the source, to the fundamental. However, these harmonics will go on after Nyquist as well. But there is a problem. And the problem is that those frequencies do not exist. The calculations and the math do not work that way. So what basically happens with these tones is they get mirrored and folded back into the audible spectrum like this. And this phenomenon is called fold back distortion or aliasing distortion or whatever. And I actually talked about this last week in an interesting video that is not just about this, it's more about the filtering needed. So what a plugin needs to do in order to prevent this is basically oversample. So all of a sudden our frequency spectrum goes from 20 Hertz all the way up to 96 kilohertz if we're using 4 times oversampling. So now all of a sudden those harmonics just go on and on and on and on and on and on, and maybe even fold back a little bit here, because everything from, let's say here, 24 kilohertz all the way up to here, this whole part will not be audible. So now that we've captured all these harmonics and crap, it's just a matter for the plugin to just, you know, cut off everything above 24 kilohertz, remove that and output the original signal without the aliasing distortion to the DAW, and it's going to be fun. I've been drawing very subtle harmonics. What would happen if we would oversample 4 times? So we've got a frequency at, let's say, 19 kilohertz or something. So we've got that frequency over here, so that's 19. And we're using a bit harsher distortion. Then those harmonics don't fall off. And you can test this out with an analyzer in your own DAW, but you'll see that, I mean, they will go down, but probably not enough for that 4 times oversampling. So we would get aliasing distortion here, going like this, coming back into the audible spectrum and create some crap. So the plugin can filter here, throw this all away, but we still have some stuff that shouldn't be there. And of course we can oversample higher and higher and higher, but that will in the end create problems with our computers. There is a limit to how powerful our computers are. And there are also more issues with this, definitely when it comes to the filtering. And that's what that oversampling video that I made is more about. Now the reason why this doesn't exist in the analog domain is because, well, let's just draw a chain. So we've got a DA converter that spits out, if you're running on 48, a band limited signal all the way up to 24K. It spits out that signal to an analog device distortion. And because this thing is analog, it's not band limited. It has an unlimited amount of bandwidth that it can work with. Like there is a certain point where the cables create too much impedance and that kind of stuff. But basically, it can create harmonics as much as it wants. Now, what usually happens is that before the actual AD happens, so before it actually is being converted back to digital again, there are a few filter blocks. And this is always a little bit of a secret sauce for converter manufacturers. These are built into the converters that basically filter off all these harmonics before they are going to get a problem. So if you would ask me, that is the biggest benefit of such a product, that the actual processing still happens analog and that we can use things like this to our advantage. Now, I think you're wondering, how does it sound? Well, here's your answer. Alright, so that's it. Or, well, it would be it if I would be a shill, but I'm not. I want to be as honest as I can. And there are a few things to note if you are thinking of purchasing the Freqport FT1. The first thing to note is, because this is analog, you always need to do real-time bouncing. So if you're using this on the master bus, you cannot just export your session. It has to run through here in real time. You can either do that during the export or before the export by using a method called printing. In some DAWs, you need to route your audio to a separate bus and record that bus. In other DAWs, you can record the output of the plugin. Depends on your DAW. But keep that in mind. It takes a lot longer to export when you need to export real time. Another downside, for me at least, is that this thing is fully digital. There is no analog I/O on the back, which makes it kind of useless for me because I'm running everything analog. And the last thing is, it doesn't have auto gain. Here we go again. But I think that will be an easy fix in the software for the people from Freqport. And you can say like, hey, you've got 2 hands. You can do the auto gaining yourself as you do on analog equipment. But for some reason that glitches a little bit. It seems that it can only handle 1 parameter being changed at a time. So keep that in mind. And that's everything that I have to say about the Freqport Freqtube FT1 model FT1. For the disclosure, I saw this thing at Super Booth and I thought it was really cool. So I requested this product and the people over at Freqport were really great in helping me out and getting such a unit. However, they provided the unit, but they have no saying in what I'm saying in this video or what I should remove from the video or whatever. I don't even think they are going to see this video before the rest of the world is going to see it. As I said, I can't really use it in my workflow because I really need analog in and out. So I'm going to send it back to them. And yeah, basically that's it. If you appreciate my videos, want to support me and want to buy, for instance, a Freqtube unit, you can consider doing that through my affiliate links. I'll link them in the description down below, and I'll also link my general affiliate links here in the QR codes. And if you use one of those links before purchasing something, a little bit of your purchase gets kicked back to me and that helps out the channel a lot. Another way to support me is by becoming a channel member. Channel members get early access to videos and access to some exclusive content. I'll link an interesting playlist about that over here. And if you want to learn more about the whole oversampling thing, I did a deep dive with Sam from Music Hack. I'll link that video over here. Thanks a lot for watching. Keep pushing and bye bye.